Hello, we'll be showing you how to use the new pilot system for Tesco Club card accounts. So we'll be showing you a diagram of the initial schematic, how the system should work. So our first step is an input form with an email address. So let's go ahead and input an email. So we'll be using that email field. We'll input some email for the purpose of test. Tesco test 1, for example, at melinator.com. Then we can click the continue button, which will lead us to the confirmation link part. So let's check out the schematic again. So according to the schematic, our first step is the email upon the list. This email was not upon the list, so we will continue with the next step and receive confirmation email on that test email which we created. So let's check that out. If we go here, as you see, we have received a activation link for activate my account. Okay, so if we try to input the same email again to validate if the checking upon the list works, we'll try to input the same email again, and we'll use that email, and when we press the continue button, the system will tell us that this email is registered and is being currently processed by the system. So this covers our first step on the schematic. On the second step, it is important to note that we are performing a check on the GDPR KCS feed of NGC data to make sure if the data source of the provided email is or is not in the NGC data. Then we can continue with the validation of email owner, which constitutes of an email message, which we will show you right now. So this is the message where the user can click on the link activate my account. So here is some conditional logic. As you can read in the email, it says that we will inform you about this process completion via email within 3 working days. Currently, there is a timer setup which will resend a reminder email if the user has not clicked on the validation link within the mentioned period. So we'll try to play that out by manually altering the data in the database. So here we'll change the date and update the database. Then we'll have to run a cron job which checks if the timer has expired. We'll do that now manually. It should be automatic on the live system. Then if we go back to the mail, we will see that you may have forgotten a template has been triggered, and there is a message reminding the user to continue with his registration. What we will show next is the case when the period of activation has been expired and the user needs to go again through the procedure. In order to do that, we'll use the time machine in KCS and fast forward the time into the future. As you can see, if we click on continue with registration now, there is this page telling us that the activation link is no longer valid, and we have the option to request a new activation link. If we click on the option, we should receive a new activation link, and if we check our email, it will tell us that the activation is being resent, and we can continue with our registration. So then we are led to the form of the third step of the registration, where we are to fill our personal data. So we will just fill out the personal data. we implement several type of validations on the password. So here we trigger the Bitnet API to provide us with possible options of all addresses in the database, and we choose our city, province, zip code, street and street number. We are to agree with the terms and conditions and the marketing policy of receiving marketing content, and then we can click on finish registration, which will lead us to our new club card registered number. It will provide us with a number and will be shown a welcome page. We will also receive an email saying that the registration is successful and the data is being processed. So after the user form has been fulfilled and the data has been submitted, then we assign an activated club card number from a range of available club card numbers. Simultaneously with that, we send an email notification to the user and also generate an XML for NGC, which is to be read by the NGC system on a daily basis. So the XML has a specific format according to the requirements. The format looks like this. This is our XML data which we provided. As you can see, the club card number, name, email, everything is there. So the way the system works is that the cron job passes through and collects data from our temporary database of pending registrations, and then inputs it into the KCS API of NGC sourced users. This will lead us to a second check if the databases have been synchronized and if the temporary database and the NGC database contains the user for registration. And if it does, then it can continue and go on and register it in the Bitnet API. So for test purposes, we'll include our new registration here, and we will manually insert it to simulate that the cron job has passed successfully, and we will update. Then we will trigger the cron job manually, and as you can see, we receive a success status for the new registration. Then we can comment out this block and trigger again the second check. And if everything is successful, we receive that this email has successfully been registered in the Bitnet API. So after that, if we check our email again, we will see a successful registration message, and we are already a club card member officially. So after we have concluded our initial registration and the 2 days have passed, we can use the live side of the GHS system to test if everything was okay and our account is really there. So what we will do is use the form to log in with the same details that we have used during the registration. And when we try the login button, we now see that it works and our account is active and working.